Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another video for Eve Echoes. Now, today's video is actually going to be a ship fitting guide. Remember when I used to actually do those? But, as I sat down to record, we got hit with a whole load of new news and information that I really think needs to be signal boosted so that everyone is on the same page and we all understand it. So this is kind of like a patch notes video, but it's not just patch notes. It's kind of just some changes that are happening to the game and the environment around it, plus an update on the Nanocore Concord points rebate issue that we were talking about over the last week. So today's kind of like a PSA, just to fill you in on all the details. If you do enjoy this as usual, hit like, subscribe to the channel, you know the drill by now, let's jump straight in. So first of all, regarding the Concord Pass credit rebate, we talked about this at length last week, that anyone who had spent a load of Concord credits would get those reimbursed if they were spent on certain things before Saturday the 17th, I think it was, whatever it was, midnight Saturday the 17th of July. So obviously if you are watching this, it is now too late to go and buy all of the things and still get the rebate. But if you had spent a load of Concord credits before Saturday the 17th, you will be getting some of those back. And we now have full information as to how that's going to do it. So first of all, who is eligible to receive these extra rewards? We're providing extra rewards to players who participated in our first Concord Pass. Basically, everyone, as a way of showing our appreciation for your support. NetEase are aware that there were problems with the Concord Pass to start with the original hunt and things like that. As a thank you for bearing with them with Nanocores and with the Concord Pass, they're basically just giving a nice gesture of thanks. If you purchase Nanocores and other materials at the Concord Pass shop with Concord credits, you will receive a 100% rebate of the credits spent. Please note that Exogenous Light Radiation Recombination Device 3 is not part of the promotion and has no rebate associated with it. So an important point to just bring to the forefront there. If you purchased Nanocores and other materials at the Concord Pass shop, things that you buy on market do not count towards this. It is just anything bought in the Concord Pass shop using Concord credits. If you did not spend Concord credits, if it was not on the Concord Pass store, then you're not getting the rebate. That's a key point there, just to bring to the forefront. We will also be adding an additional material reward based on the upgrade status of your Nanocores. Players who upgraded thermomagnetic storm cores will be rewarded extra materials. Materials consumed in upgrades will be saved in the nanocores. If you wish to get them back, you will need to repackage the nanocores. For thermomagnetic storm cores at varying levels, players will receive varying amounts of the following four: stream computing chips, combat learning databanks, triangular structure nanocores, and cloud AI learning code refactoring permissions, respectively. So when we look at these numbers, that's the order. The first number is the stream computing chip, the second number is the combat learning databank, the third number is triangular structure, and the fourth number is cloud AI. This is basically what you will get back if you've managed to get that far. So the first attribute unlocked is 90 of the computing chips, 900 databanks, no triangular structure nanosources, and 200 of the cloud AI learning codes. Then 360. I'm not going to go through all of these. I'll leave that on screen there. You can have a look at these, freeze the video, pause the video. YouTube has that amazing function that you can pause the video. You can actually look at these yourself and figure out what you'll be getting back based on the level that you achieve. Now, as far as I can tell, these are non-cumulative. That is for each individual level. It might be just a case of that if you hit like level 5, that's what you're getting back. I'm not sure if it's, you add all the previous levels. I've not really done much in the way of upgrading nanocores, so if you've done so, tell me which one looks like you're getting the full rebate, and that'll be it there. Now, it does mention here that players who upgraded will be rewarded with extra materials. Materials consumed in upgrades will be saved in the nanocores. If you want to get them back, you have to repackage the nanocore. So basically, if you repackage the nanocore, you'll get these materials back. It says here, only thermomagnetic storm core upgrades will have a material reward. Other types of nanocores are not included. So that's things like the Guristas Pirates ones and the Angel Veteran, that kind of thing. You won't get those back if you upgraded any of those. It's only the thermomagnetic storm. Secondarily, only fully unlocked secondary attributes are eligible for rewards. So if you got the third secondary attribute unlocked and we're sort of halfway towards the fourth secondary attribute, then you won't get the stuff for the fourth. And the stuff that was consumed getting halfway, that is lost too. Now, I get it, that kind of sucks a little bit, but ultimately, I don't think that's just a vicious, oh lol, you know, like NetEase is trying to stick up a middle finger. I don't get why people are always so absolutely adamant that NetEase hates its players so much. That's just not a good business strategy. Like, if you think they're good at business and trying to absolutely rip your wallet open, then treating you like crap is not the way to do that. They know that. Anyway, rant aside there, because I can already hear "shill" being typed out on people's keyboards in the distance. The point I'm getting at there is I think that's just a simple case of they don't have the system to actually account for the halfway points. It's just going to look at what level your Nanocore's at and then reimburse according to that. Now, will materials consumed in resetting attributes be eligible for rebate? Reset materials purchased with Concord credits are eligible for a credit rebate. So if you purchase any of those from the Concord store with Concord credits, yes, those are eligible. Materials purchased at the market will not have a rebate, as I said. Concord store with Concord credits is the only thing that counts. Third, reset materials consumed in the training process are not eligible for rebate rewards at this time. So that's what I've just said. The whole thing that if you hit level 3 and you're partway to level 4, that's stuff that's consumed in the training process. You're not getting that back. If you've used it, and it's now like, you know, you're not quite at level 4, you'll only get the stuff that took you to level 3 back. The stuff that took you partway to level 4 will not come back. When can I receive these wards? Because I got some very angry comments on the video literally the day after the patch landed going, "Hey, where's my Concord credits? No one's given them back to me." 17th of July and 30th of July, and that's because it takes time to verify player data. So at any time between now, basically, and the 30th of July, you will start to receive those Concord credits back, and they should, as far as I'm aware, come with an in-game mail notification to let you know they're there. Like, if you don't collect all of your Omega rewards, you get that little thing saying, hey, here's the stuff you didn't collect last month. You open the mail, you tap collect all, and bam, it goes through. Or your maintenance rewards, things like that. So, yeah, anytime between now and the 17th and 30th of July. Only purchases and upgrades that took place before July 17th at 000 UTC will be eligible for rewards. Please be aware that that is UTC. If, like me, you're on UTC +2, that means it had to be done by 2 o'clock in the morning. My time, it's all based on UTC, so make sure that before you get angry that, oh, I've only got part of my Concord's credit back, check what you used by that time. Where can I see how many Concord credits I have spent? Due to our tight development schedule, we unfortunately won't be able to display a spending record on the page. After receiving your rewards by mail, feel free to contact customer support if you have any additional questions. Now, I kind of have faith that a semi-automated system like this is just going to, you know, count everything. It's all accounted for there. I can't imagine anyone's going to get screwed out of things, but do just check. And they're saying here, if it looks like you were expecting an awful lot more than you have got, double check it on the math here on the page with all the stipulations that I've just mentioned, then contact customer support if you are still certain that you're missing some. Will the Concord Pass shop close? So the current Concord Pass shop is part of Season 1 and will last until July 27th. After that, all Season 1 items in the shop will be replaced by Season 2 items, such as Thermomagnetic Storm Core 2, Monsoon Core 2, and Breeze Core 2. Now, it's nice to see that we're getting the Monsoon Core 2s and Breeze Core 2s there as well. The Thermomagnetic Storm Core 2s seem pretty interesting. I quite like the stats that are on those. And some of you asked, where do you actually see those? Well, if, for example, you want to see what the Thermomagnetic Storm Core 2 does for, say, a coveter, you need to have a coveter. You then go into the fitting page, you tap on the tap on the Nanocore icon in the bottom left, where you would normally go to fit a Nanocore, and you just check it. It's along the bottom there. It'll show you, you can tap into the different ones and check what kind of upgrades they have. I've already done that with things like the Hurricane. I've had a look at some of the Breeze Cores and things like this as well. There's some interesting stuff there. I'm actually really quite excited for this. It definitely fixes a lot of the issues that we had before. Like the coveter now gets mining bonuses, and the Dominics and things like that now get drone bonuses. Things like the Condor and the Corax and the Talwar now get missile bonuses rather than turrets. There's a lot to unpack there, and it's really quite cool. I'm looking forward to these. Based on the feedback on Thermomagnetic Storm 1, we made several major optimizations to Thermomagnetic Storm 2. Bonuses are based on specific ship weapon systems. They avoided overly broad bonuses. For example, turret bonus has now become more specific. I think it's now cannon, laser, and things like that, and it's based on the type of ship. So I think if I recall, the Hurricane says medium cannon and things like that, it makes more sense. What they've actually done here is rather than just go, well, Thermomagnetic Storm Core means it gets these 3 abilities. They've now gone, well, Thermomagnetic Storm Core Hurricane means it gets these abilities, and then the Harbinger has different abilities, and so on and so forth, which is pretty cool. But again, if you have that ship, you can check in-game already how those are going to apply, and they're pretty sweet. I do recommend checking it out just to give yourself an idea. Theoretically, the more widespread a bonus attribute is, the smaller the actual number should be when compared with more specific bonuses. So while keeping the overall value unchanged, we narrowed the bonus range and increased the bonus amount. This is basically why you get things like, for example, turret damage plus 12%, or electromagnetic damage plus 18%, or whatever the numbers actually are. The more specific one gives you a bigger percentile increase, whereas the one that's more broad will have a lower sort of increase across the board. So if it says, like, you know, turrets, it's going to be turrets plus 10%, whereas if it's cannons or lasers or whatever, it's going to be something like a 15 or 17%. It's going to be a bigger amount accordingly. Why aren't you giving rewards for nanocores and materials bought off the market? Now this, I don't know, I'm guessing this is a preemptive question, but I kind of have to wonder who is asking that question. Who thinks that spending ISK on the market should entitle them to a free rebate when the developers say, hey, thanks for supporting our system, we're sorry with the issues. But hey, it's here. Transactions made through the market, contracts and corporation hangers are interactions between players. Such a transaction is based on the consent of the value of a certain product on both sides, and it's an agreement reached by each participating player. Basic economics 101. If I say I'm selling something for $10 and you say, oh, that's way too expensive, I'm not going to do it, then you haven't agreed that value and cost are equal. If I say, hey, I'm going to sell it for $10 and you sit there and say that's way too expensive, but the guy next to you goes, oh, I'll buy it. That means he values the item at $10. You do not value the item at $10. The point is, price and cost are two different things, and this is as a thank you for engaging with NetEase and how they have done things. So the Concord credits that you have spent was a transaction with NetEase. They set the price, you agreed or disagreed or whatever, and chose to purchase or not to purchase. It is only stuff that is going in that direction. It's like me, you know, working for a company like, say, Apple, and you buy your iPhone from Target or Walmart or whatever, and then you come to me and say, well, actually, their customer service was terrible, I want a refund. It's like, well, that's not my problem. It's our product, and if you've got a problem with the product, we'll help you with it. But the service that you received, or the fact that Target ripped you off and you spent more there or whatever. I'm using Target as an example, despite the fact that I've never actually even been to one and I don't even know if they sell phones. I'm not American, okay? I'm British, I live in Zimbabwe, we don't have Target. Anyway, let's move on. Will the system take back nanocores on the list? No, it's a rebate. It's not just a refund. That wouldn't be exciting. It's a rebate. Players can continue to use these nanocores, keep them as souvenirs, or reprocess them into training modules. I love the cute idea that there are people out there going, I want to remember the fact that when there was a time when nanocores were utter crap. I'm going to keep my thermomagnetic storm core for the Coveter, and I'm going to hold on to it and just remind myself of a time that was far worse. In fairness, I think that is an important thing to do, you know, look at times when they were bad and look at how things have improved over time. I mean, heck, actually have a look at how that's worked with Eve Echoes. Look at what was in the game at launch and how things worked compared to how it is now. It's quite surprising and fitting with the anniversary around the corner. Finally, will the upgraded thermomagnetic storm core be downgraded by the system? No, the level will be reset only if the player repackages the nanocore, but at the same time all materials spent on successful upgrades will be returned. So if you've successfully got your thermomagnetic storm core to level 3, you are getting all the materials that took it to level 3 back. Even if you keep that nanocore fitted. That's pretty sweet. I'm very happy there. Thanks again for your participation in our first version of the Concord Pass at everyone. Awesome. Thank you, NetEase. I genuinely think that is a really cool, really nice way of saying, look, we know there were problems. Thank you for bearing with us. Next time's going to be a lot better, but here is something for that. They didn't have to do that. They could have quite happily just gone, you know what, we're going to take back all the thermomagnetic cores, you're going to get the new ones, and just, yeah, there we go. Like, for example, I had an issue with the thermomagnetic core that I bought and it not working properly, and they did actually do a full refund on that. I had to give the core back, but they did a full refund on it. And that's my point. What they're doing here is refunding it, but letting you keep the thing as well, which I genuinely think is a really nice way forward. Anyway, beyond this, there are two other bits to this video as well that I want to be talking about, not just how the new nanocores are going to be in the Concord credit rebate and all that. First off, Audit optimizations. This is huge. I hinted at this in a previous video. I'm really glad that this is a thing now. We've had all of those relaxations in regards to like alpha players being able to shop at non-ITCs, that kind of thing. So having those restrictions lifted is definitely a good thing as we come to the anniversary and as we start to sort of celebrate a year of EVE Echoes and trying to get more players in with the new beginner system. So audits are now being optimized. At this stage, the crackdown on bot and illegal transaction has achieved phased results, and we're aware of the negative side effects of a potential overreach on the audit system and will optimize it in August. Side note, they did say this before the game even launched, that the audit system would be rough at the start because they are trying to clamp down on bots and real money transactions hard. You need to get that crap out of your game quickly, and if you don't get it out quickly, the whole game's going to fall apart and become nothing more than, hey, gold sellers. I've seen it happen in other MMOs. I'm glad that they came down so hard here. Yes, it has sucked getting hit by audits. Lord knows I know as well as most of you folks. Remember a time before Fulmination came along where I had to borrow faction cruisers from people, and they were like 20-day audits either way. That was not fun for anyone involved, but hey, we're now looking at the improvements. The review time is no longer calculated separately based on each order, but the total daily income and expenditure difference is calculated. That is, there is no need to split large transactions into multiple small transactions now. We're making this change to make larger transactions more easily, while still being able to block bot actions. This is one of those things that you may have seen that if you wanted to trade something across, rather than kind of saying, here's, you know, all of the stuff, you know, here's the ship with all of its fittings and the other stuff that you asked for, all in one massive transaction, which would have an audit of like 10 hours, if you then broke it down into, this is just the ship, these are the modules, these are the other bits you asked for, individually, you'd have like an hour's audit time to each of them, so if you sent 3 in one go, it was 3 individual 1-hour audits, which obviously is over in an hour, rather than 1 3-hour audit, which makes sense. Now they're bringing that down, so it's sitting there and it's going to say, right, okay, well, if it would have been 3 individual 1-hour audits, it's just going to be a 1-hour audit, if even that. The review time for players with higher tech level is faster, shorter audit time. We've done this because bot accounts tend to have a lower tech level, so we want to have a larger effect while improving the quality of life for higher tech level players. Now again, of course, this does mean that as a newer player, you do kind of have to go through all that rigmarole that early on you're going to get hit with more audits. Hopefully you should be getting hit with fewer audits than you would have been previously, but now as you go up the tech levels, as you play the game longer and longer and longer and you're engaged with it more, the game basically says, well, we guess you're not a bot by this point. You've been playing for 3 months, and we've not discovered any awkward activity on your account. Congratulations, we're reducing your audit timer. And I'm all for that. I think that's a really elegant system of doing it. It's not perfect. It does mean that if you're opening up a new character, yes, you're going to get more audits than you would on an older character, but hopefully that newer character is still getting fewer audits after this change than it would before this change, if that makes sense. Finally, time spent in the same corporation as well as the corporation's size will positively affect the audit time of corporation hangars and corporation wallets. We want to make sure corp mates have less issues trading with each other. Now, here, again, I'm really for this. It means that if you're in a big corporation as part of a big alliance, you are less likely to be part of a bot empire, so they reduce the corporation audit timers. If you are in a corporation for a long time, you're going to have smaller timers, because by that point the corp trusts you and you don't have, you know, again, you've kind of proven that you're less likely to be a bot. It's just, it's simple. I like this, it's elegant, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Insurance optimizations. Hear the huzzah in the distance. We plan on adding the ability for members in a corporation when using insurance to create buy orders within the corporation, or even allow corporations to trade these with other corporations. That second part is huge. Now, the first part is still pretty big, so let's talk about that first. This is basically suggesting that if you are going to insure a ship, you can actually have it set so that those buy orders will go to your corporation and alliance first and foremost, thus helping your shipbuilders. So industrialists in big corporations and alliances would get a direct benefit from this. That's awesome, and I wholeheartedly approve of that change. On the other side of things, even allow corporations to trade these with other corporations. This means that, like in EVE Online, where there are corporations that are designed about being industrialists, it's an entire corporation based in a low or high sec that is just industrialists. They're just miners, just shipbuilders, just reverse engineers, that kind of thing. You could sit there with your corporation and basically set up a contract with them. You are set up with a contractor so that when you lose ships, that corporation and alliance builds them for you, which means you essentially get shipyards in EVE Echoes, which is such a cool concept. Imagine you and your mates are big into your shipbuilding and industrial side of things, and you just have a whole stock of materials, etc., sitting at a base somewhere in sort of high to low sec. Somewhere, you know, say, I don't know, Tama, just off the top of my head. Someone is in a war, they keep losing ships, and every time one of their ships is destroyed with insurance, your corporation gets a buy order to make the replacement. That is so cool, and I loved that so much. Finally on this bit then, mining improvements. We plan on improving life for miners later on by adding additional ships and corporation structures that interact with them. Now, the additional ships I'm really hoping are, of course, the Porpoise and the Orca, maybe one day even the Rorqual, and we'll come back to that in a second. Porpoise and Orca are basically industrial command ships. If you've looked at command bursts on things like, you know, the Shield Command Burst, Armor Command Burst, and Skirmish Command Burst, then the Industrial Command Burst is the same thing, but you mine faster, or you mine more, and things like that. It's that kind of thing. The Porpoise and the Orca are two really cool ships for there, and I have done videos on those if you're interested in learning more. They're in the game files already. In fact, when you upgrade certain tech levels, they appear there. I think it's tech level 9 shows the Porpoise in the, hey, here's the ships you unlocked. And it's like, no, I haven't. The Porpoise isn't in the game. It's in the files, but I've got no way to build it or access it. Hopefully, that is one of the additional ships that is going to be added. The Rorqual, on the other hand, if you are a follower of this channel, you probably listened to my rant about why I don't think dreadnoughts are at all necessary in EVE Echoes anytime soon, and that there's a lot of other things I would rather have before we hit capitals. The one exclusion to that is indeed the Rorqual. Now, we already have capital freighters, which are, of course, industrial vessels for transporting stuff from A to B in massive containers. The Rorqual is a capital-sized industrial mining ship that essentially has a panic button. You can hit that panic button and everyone in your fleet becomes invulnerable for, I think it's 2 minutes, with a several-hour cooldown and stuff like that. So you can be nice and safe whilst your fleet comes to the aid of your miners. It's also just a humongous ship that has a whole load of capabilities inherent in it as well. That would be the one exclusion to adding capitals into the game, where I think that actually that would be really beneficial. I think the Rorqual being one of the first capital ships added to the game would be a very good thing, because it does something different. Dreadnoughts, I'm not going to go into this rant again, but Dreadnoughts basically are just slightly bigger, more expensive versions of the Striker battleships. They fulfill the same role as. So there's a part of me that says we don't really need Dreadnoughts, we don't have a purpose for them in the game yet. We do have a purpose for the Rorqual, and I think that anyone who is interested in mining and industry would probably agree with me there. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Do we want the Rorqual in EVE, in Echoes? Yeah. I think we probably do. Along with things like ice mining, gas mining, we know that moon mining is going to be a thing, and that there are going to be outposts, modules for your outposts that allow them to mine nearby moons and stuff. That's pretty cool, and I think that's our corporation structures that interact with them is what we're looking at there. But yeah, definitely some new ships and new corporation stuff for mining, which I think is good. I know miners kind of miss out on a lot. You know, miners feel like that they don't get the cool ship skins, they don't get the new abilities. Most of them are still running around with Mark 9 gear on their bling ships, whereas the rest of us now can make, you know, X-type gear if we have the billions for it. Anyway, I think anything that helps miners and just gives them a nice little push upwards, always going to be a good thing. Ultimately, remember, ships are just polished asteroids, right? Gameplay performance optimizations. Here's where we kind of start getting into the patch notes of how things are going to change. If you're on an Android device and have been experiencing significantly more lag after either our exploration update or the June 30th version, the 300 megabyte plus patch on Android, repairing your client should significantly help with this. Now, for the life of me, I cannot remember who it was who contacted me about this. Went round and got a whole list of additional names and devices and people saying, is my device lagging? And it turned out a lot of those were people running Snapdragons. That list came to me, I've passed that through to the developers. It looks like they've listened, they've kind of optimized it and gone, right, okay, here's the fix. Hopefully that should now be sorted. I've not noticed it personally, but that might be because I'm on Zimbabwean Wi-Fi, and thus, you know, lag and just general internet being crud. It's very hard to tell apart sometimes. But hey, that's a good fix there. Awesome stuff. We're aware of general stability issues caused by large-scale battles and have been focused on fixing this, though this will require more time since the majority of the lag issues come from the client. We will release game performance optimizations over a few updates in August to help address issues related to large-scale battles. More details to be shared later on. Again, thank you NetEase, they're listening. I know that we kind of do this whole thing of, hey, you know, we've been talking about this for a long time and NetEase aren't doing anything, it means they're not listening. They are, they've just got a lot of other stuff they're working on. It just takes time. We get there eventually, and I'm glad to see that. Finally then, in preparation for our August content update and increased requirements on our internal server maintenance process, starting in August, our new weekly maintenance will be on Thursdays at 0000 UTC. That's 2 o'clock in the morning for me. This change will apply at the beginning of August and will be permanent. Now, this is going to be good news for some and bad news for others. Now, I'm sitting here, and in Zimbabwe, for me, every Wednesday the server closes down at 10 o'clock in the morning until 12 o'clock, and that's if it comes back up on time. If it's delayed, then that's the middle of my day. For me, this is an awesome change, because it means I go to sleep on Wednesday night, and I wake up on Thursday morning, and the patch is done. Maintenance is done. If there's any overlap, then it's done. So for me personally, I'm really excited about this, and I know that for other people, that's going to suddenly push it right into the middle of your day. So, for example, if you are on, say, UTC plus 10, that now puts it at 10 o'clock in the morning for you. I don't know if how that works with, like, what areas are UTC plus 10 or UTC minus however much. That might push it into your evening playtime if you're based in East Coast or West Coast America, something like that. I'm sure that there are going to be some people who are negatively affected by this. So whilst I'm personally celebrating this, I do also understand and appreciate that for some people that is going to be a negative change. But unfortunately, that is the way it is going forward. So hey, it means that Thursdays at that time you've got a couple of hours to, you know, spend time with family and friends and, you know, make sure the chores are done around the house before Eve Echoes absorbs your life again. If you're anything like me, that's kind of what I've been doing on Wednesdays. And I kind of feel bad for that, because that now means, in a certain extent, I'm not going to have that downtime anymore. Oh no, oh my poor wife. Anyway, folks, that about wraps it up for this little PSA. We've talked a lot about the new issue, the new update with the Concord credits and the rebate there. We've got some awesome gameplay optimizations, the fact that the patch time is going to be different, the maintenance time is going to be different now. Midnight UTC on Thursdays, so that's obviously Wednesday going into Thursday, just in case you're like me and you get confused by clocks and time and that wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. But yeah, I think this is all overall really, really positive. This is good. This is going forward in steps that we are asking for. Now, all I need to do is sit down with Lance, Dot, and Melos and have a conversation about how to fix faction frigates, assault frigates, the new frigates that we need at tech level 10, and yes, destroyers. So Melos, Lance, Dot, if you are watching this, please reach out to me on Discord. Love to have a nice long chat with you too about how we can do that going forward. But hey, really glad you folks are listening. And whilst thank you for NetEase listening, thank you guys for listening to this video right the way through to the end too. I'm aware it's not got any flashy explosions or anything. Ship fitting guides coming soon, I promise. Otherwise, the happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.